Welcome to Southern Sense Talk on Rumble. You are going to love Annie the Radio Chickadee Ubelis and her co-host, C.S. Bennett. You'll find them live here on Fridays from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Date Time. Check out their website at Southern Sense, as in commonsense.net. It's that easy, southernsense.net. So sit back and relax. They're informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey.
Well, welcome back to another adventure here, live on Southern Sense, watching on X. Believe it or not, on X, last week, our show hit 119,000 hits on X alone. So thank you guys for being a great supporter of this show. And it is a labor of love because we don't get paid for doing this. But we also find us up on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Rumble, Substack. So go to our website, southernsense.net. That's in sense as in common sense and not nonsense.
So you're saying people get paid for having fun?
Gee, I wish. Anyway, I'm your hostess with the least mostest, Annie Ubelis, along with my co-host, Curtis C.S. Bennett. Curtis, we got ourselves a great show. A friend of yours and a friend of the show, Tomei Sellers, she'll be joining us on the first half. She's got some fantastic new music out there and videos that are absolutely wonderful. Also, we have someone who should have been all over the front page news over this past weekend, Brandon Straka. He had Take Back New York City rally, his walk away from the Democratic Party, going against Zohran Mamdani, running for New York City mayor, the communist. And it's a lot of interesting stuff has occurred. Matter of fact, Brandon was one of the victims of the January 6th debacle that some people still try to claim was an insurrection. It was a protest. It was not instigated by Donald Trump. He said peacefully to march to the Capitol to let their voices be heard. He didn't tell them to break in. He said peacefully. And the stuff they did to these men and women that fell into the radar of the FBI and their crooked investigations. This is something I'd love to see Kash Patel to completely unveil, as the same way they're unveiling the Russiagate hoax and its ties to George Soros and Hillary Clinton and Fusion GPS. So we've got a lot to talk about and a lot to do. And I want to thank everyone that's popping up in the chat rooms too. Oh, the burn bag. Yeah, can't forget that. Yep. So we have a heck of a lot to do, a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of stuff. I know I took off on a rant last week when Hannah was co-hosting with me, Hannah Davis from fairus.org. I want to bring it up because I really am. I've got this put aside to write a letter to see if I can find out who the attorney is for Seattle that's going to be battling actually for the U.S. Navy. I don't know if you heard about this, but this woman, Lauren Ann Lombardi, filed a lawsuit on July 21st, accusing the Blue Angels of infringing on her First Amendment rights. She's claiming that the noise from the airplanes flying over in the Blue Angel in the formations and practice forced her to kill her cat. Now, I don't know if anyone listening last week remembers this story, but this is a woman who moved from the East Coast to Seattle only 2 years ago. So when you move from one location, especially if you're doing this cross country, you do your due diligence. You find yourself choosing a neighborhood that is comfortable for you, that it has like-minded people, a neighborhood that it has the atmosphere and ambience that you choose. I mean, this is an expensive move to move clear across the country. So obviously this woman does have some money. Well, she chose to move to Seattle in an area by an air station, knowing full well a military air station is going to be practicing. And when you go to rent or purchase a home, whoever is renting it to you is bound by law to tell you whether or not you're moving into an area that has a military base near it, especially if you move in the area that you know is called an ACUS. It's an area where they take off and land and do all their practices. Now, I live near 2 military installations. Well, if you include the Naval Hospital, it makes it 3. And I chose to live in an area that's not in the direct flight path of the ACUS. I did my diligence. My realtor did the same thing. So no, she chose to move there. So knowing full well that this air show comes in every year, and rather than packing up her cat and maybe taking the cat to the next town over and boarding it at the vet or whatever, so the cat's not going to be disturbed by the sounds of the airplanes, or even when she knows that they're training or going to perform, all she has to do is just pick up the phone, call the airbase, ask what the schedule is, and they'll tell her. And then just take your cat, put it in a cage, pack it in your car, go to the Starbucks a couple of towns over and have lunch or something. Or you take the cat to your vet and say, is there some sort of a medication you can give them to help keep the animal calm? You can buy it in any pet store. It's called Feel Away. It's a little spray. You spray it on their toys, their blankets, the beddings. And there's little medications that you can buy over the counter at the pet shop to help keep the animal calm. Did she do any of these things? I doubt it. So because now the cat has a heart condition, it's 14 years old, animals get sick when they get older, she decides to euthanize the animal. She kills her pet that she claims to love so much, and she blames it on the Blue Angels. Folks, this is woke America. This is friggin' woke America. And this woman should have the case completely thrown out.
It's not going anywhere. And if she was a woman of financial standing, she should have gone out there and just looked over the place, the area,
Yeah.
Talk to people, see what goes on, You don't just buy something, off the internet and move out there.
No. When my late husband and I moved from New York all the way down here to South Carolina, I had boxes of information. I'd write to the local chamber of commerce. I'd write to the realtors, and they would send me information. If you're in this area, be aware that you will be. There was communication. And we took 3 separate trips. And we came down here, and we went to local restaurants and the bars and the churches and stuff, and we talked to people. And that's how we decided on the town we moved into. And that's why we decided on the house we moved into. We even went so far to go to the town hall, actually it was the county hall, and pull up the building plans and to find out whether or not we were going to be in a flood zone. Because we're living on one of 1,000 islands. This area has 1,000 islands. And we chose a house that was not in a flood zone, a house that was not in the ACUS, a house that was in a suburban neighborhood, but still convenient to everywhere else we want to go. We did our homework. You're going to spend that amount of money and invest in a home, or if you're going to spend that amount of money to move across the country, you do your homework.
Well, most people today with, the technology we have, any major city or town, you can go on the internet and they have something called Take a Tour of, Little Beaver, Arkansas, something like that, town of 1,600. And they'll give you a tour, video tour.
I mean, you can go into multiple websites and even into the local chamber of commerces that you pull it up online. You let your fingers do the walking. If you can't physically do the walking, your fingers do the walking. You do your homework. But because you moved in an area near a military base and the Blue Angels were performing, they're not the reason why your cat died. You're the reason why your cat died because you chose to kill the animal. That's animal cruelty. And if anything, she should be arrested for it. That's my rant for today. I'm sorry. I am an animal person. I love them dearly. I mean, I had a canine officer almost lose his dog to me. I said, if the dog disappears, don't knock on my door. I mean, but I have 5 cats. I mean, I know when I see someone doing something as idiotic as what this woman did, I mean, this is inexcusable. And then to blame it on the Blue Angels.
Well, it's like we talked about last week. Who's she gonna sue if a cat died from thunder and lightning? God.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, those that listen to our show know that we start each and every show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And today's dedication is going out to Officer Jason Roscow. Officer Roscow was shot and killed when responding to a report of a subject brandishing a gun in North Las Vegas. He was attempting to make contact with the subject when the man ignored him and fled. And after locating the subject refused the commands and fired at Officer Roscow. Officer Roscow did return fire, killing the subject. And the officer was transported to the University Medical Center, where he did succumb to multiple gunshot wounds. Officer Roscow was also a United States Air Force veteran and served with the North Las Vegas Police Department for 17 years. He is survived by his 2 sons. And here is his dedication.
Hands up, show your hands! Hands! 413, 1305. Hands!
We're just getting this new body cam footage and also 911 audio from the gunfight that left a suspect and a North Las Vegas police officer dead. Police laid out how it went down in a briefing to reporters today. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Latoya Silman. This was the first news briefing since that shooting that led to the death of North Las Vegas police officer Jason Roscow.
News 3's Tiffany Lane is live outside Metro Police headquarters, where she heard from North Las Vegas police earlier today. Tiffany, what exactly did you learn from that?
Good evening. So North Las Vegas police did say that this is still preliminary information into their ongoing investigation into Officer Roscow's death. Now, as you mentioned, they provided several 911 audio calls as well as body-worn camera videos. And now this is all happening as the community continues to mourn Officer Roscow's death and as his family prepares for his funeral tomorrow morning.
Hands up, show your hands! Hands! 413, 1305. Hands!
That's the body-worn camera footage of late North Las Vegas police officer Jason Roscow. The video provided during the first news conference since the incident that left 46-year-old Roscow and the suspect, 25-year-old Alexander Mathis, dead on February 4th.
I would like to begin by extending my deepest condolences to his family and to the men and women who had the honor and privilege of serving with him for more than 17 years.
The department releasing the 911 calls that led North Las Vegas police near Camino al Norte and Lone Mountain Road around 2 in the afternoon.
In between, what's this, Lone Mountain and Craig on Martin Luther King? Close to Lone Mountain. He's walking with a gun, throwing rocks at cars, just broke my window.
There's some guy on the street throwing rocks at cars, and he hit my truck and broke my side window.
Okay. Is he white, black, Asian, Hispanic?
Black.
Do you know what color shirt and pants he's wearing?
Black and black.
North Las Vegas police identified the man they called about to be Mathis, who police said had a Makarov 9mm handgun on him. Police say when officers arrived, Mathis ran and Officer Roscow was the first to catch up with him as he came out from near a house. Police say Officer Roscow told Mathis to show his hands, and Mathis approached him, leading to an exchange of gunfire.
Officer Roscow is seen moving to his left, using the parked Jeep as a barrier between Mathis and himself. Mathis approached him, and the two exchanged gunfire. Mathis continued to advance aggressively toward Officer Roscow after Roscow was struck multiple times. Mathis was struck once by Officer Roscow.
North Las Vegas officer Luis Macias Venegas also fired one round in the incident shown in the body-worn camera video here. Both Mathis and Officer Roscow died of their injuries at UMC Hospital.
Officer Roscow's passing serves as a reminder of the extreme dangers that men and women in uniform face every day as they courageously protect and serve our community.
Now today, North Las Vegas police also revealed that Mathis has previous criminal history, and that includes carrying a concealed weapon without a permit and petty larceny. Reporting from Metro headquarters, I'm Tiffany Lane for News 3. Back to you.
All right, Tiffany, thank you for walking us through all that new information.
Hundreds of people gathered right here behind me outside of the North Las Vegas City Hall for a candlelight vigil to honor and remember the life of fallen North Las Vegas police officer Jason Roscow.
What a beautiful smile. Wonderful person. And we feel very sorry for his family. That talent, person, his family is just devastating to all of them.
Dave and Sherry Griffin's daughter served alongside Officer Jason Roscow at the North Las Vegas Police Department. They were both fellow officers.
Roscow provided training for her during her introduction and stuff of that nature, and she interacted weekly with Jason.
I met the Griffins and many others as they paid their respects to the fallen officer Thursday, leaving gifts and other remembrances at the now growing memorial at the North Central Area Command on Deer Springs Way. What did you bring today, if you don't mind me asking?
The teddy bear and a bouquet of flowers.
The teddy bear left on behalf of the two young sons Roscow leaves behind, and Post-it notes from members of a grateful community left on the patrol car parked at the memorial, offering messages of love and hope.
It means a lot to see the actual community come out.
Roscow was a fixture in North Las Vegas, working for the department since 2007. So when the news came in that he was shot and killed Tuesday, it left disbelief and sadness in its wake. Dave, who worked in law enforcement for 18 years, said it's always tough to hear of an officer's death, but it's even tougher when your daughter is also on the force.
Loss of an officer, tough to make.
I'm terrified, to think of, and that's why it's so close to home, but, this is what she wants to do.
If you'd like to pay your respects to fallen officer Jason Roscow, we have links on our website to a growing memorial and donation sites. Reporting in North Las Vegas, I'm Ryan Ketchum.
Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, we led with grace. Let it be seen, from sea to shining sea, beautiful America, living our legacy. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be known as people of honor, humble and bold, faithful through fire. Let us hold firm to our convictions with wide open hearts, eager and our time has come. We gave them hope, we made them strong. Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, yeah, we led with grace. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for all the next generation. Let it be said. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for all the next generation.
All right, and we're back. You're here watching and listening to Southern Sense, and you can find us at southernsense.net, and that's in common sense, SENSE.net. Oh man, Curtis, we have so much to still talk about. This is something that, again, you're not going to find on lamestream media, but Lee Zeldin is set to overturn the greenhouse gas findings. He's turning around and saying, and this is a quote from him, this has been referred to as basically driving a dagger into the heart of the climate change religion. So he will issue draft plans to overturn a 2009 scientific finding that greenhouse gases pose a threat to human health and global welfare, which is a key component of the Clean Air Act's legal basis. You know, we've had Gregory Wrightstone on. We've had several other people, are either they're geologists or have scientific backgrounds. And this scientific finding that goes back to 2009 was basically a compilation of a bunch of scientists that actually just gave their thoughts, basically. I mean, there was actually no clear scientific work done on it. And they just decided to come together and say that greenhouse gases are caused by too much CO2 in the air. So we have to do all this stuff to help save the planet. And they came up with the Clean Air Act. And we have been paying for it through the nose since day one. And Lee Zeldin is finally going to overturn it. And we're going to find out what the real true science is. Because you got to remember, the earth was warmer when Christ walked it than it is today. So the world is not going to melt and explode because there's an increase in CO2. Instead, we're going to get more green, more vegetation growing. And maybe we could then end hunger and do it with logic and conservative values. Let's bring on our guest who's already laughing at us and smiling in the green room. We want to welcome onto the stage Tomei Sellers. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm great, Ann. How are
Hello.
you? Hi, CS. How you doing?
All right. Long time no see.
I feel like I need to back up a little bit.
Are you fine?
Don't worry. I have not. The only makeup I'm wearing right now is lipstick, so I look like
you look perfect. And I was listening to what you were talking about, and it's true. There's so many other times where not only just hotter, but we're colder than we've experienced here. I think it was in the 1920s. My husband's a huge historian and researches everything. So, yeah, it's not what people think. And
No,
that,
it's not.
yeah.
And I'm glad that we're finally starting to pull this stuff out of the classroom because, in fact, we are climbing out of a mini ice age. We need the warmth, you know?
Yes, I'd rather be a little bit on the warm side than freezing. And overall, everyone says it's always like a sauna in Florida, but I say we say that every year. But I think we forget because we're coming out of the winter and it was just cool, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been so hot. But I'm thinking, I say the same thing every year. It's Florida. It's never going to change. It's going to be hot.
Well, I think you've been setting your weather up a couple of states because now we're getting in the afternoon almost every day the rain showers.
Oh, okay.
Now we've been getting thunderstorms.
That's nice though. Rain that really kind of cools off things, and especially the roads. You see the steam coming off of it.
Yeah. I mean, but some of these had been so torrential that I left to run an errand and I caught right smack in the middle of it, and you could not see in front of you. And I was like, I wanted to pull over to stop somewhere and be safe, but there was nowhere to pull over.
Oh no! What are you gonna do when you pull up? It's in Florida. You can open the door. It'll be great sunny. Go back inside. Put your swimsuit on. Go open the door, and now it's pouring rain. So you go back inside. You put your raincoat on. You go out. Now there's a hurricane, and it happens that fast. It's hysterical, but we're used to it. So if you're gonna go to the beach, bring a raincoat, and make sure you check for hurricane weather.
Yes. Now tell me, you've got a very, very interesting past. You were on VH1's Born to Diva. You were the top 3 finalists. And from that, you've been building a wonderful music career. And Curtis and I were just talking that you knew and worked with Connie Francis, who just recently passed away.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I saw her at Westbury Music Fair. And then, I'm not going to say what year.
She was perfect then, and she as perfect as she was today. She really was amazing.
Yeah.
Wasn't she every note that she sang? It was just pristine, and that's how she always was.
Now you've got a bunch of videos out that people can go to your website and take a look at. You're up on. I have some links up on the show page, but you're up on YouTube, Facebook. I forget half the places you're at now.
That's okay. I'm on Spotify and all different music platforms that you can hear, but my music videos are mainly on YouTube. So they can watch live performances like at the Greek Theater with Raul de Blasio. I have my music videos on there, and I have a couple new music videos that I'm beginning to work on that I'm excited about. And I take a long time to get my music videos together because I'm very detailed oriented with them. But I enjoy it. I have a good time.
Perfection.
I hope so, but maybe not too overboard. But the last music video called "Love Yourself," it took about over a year because I filmed in spring, winter, summer, and springtime, and actually different. I've been in Florida and Orlando, and then North Carolina. So there were different places that I filmed in.
Well, actually, that's one of the videos I did want to bring up to play, and all of your videos have, I wouldn't say a central theme, but in them there's an honesty. And you're dealing with human nature, and as a great artist as you are, you get across a message that after someone listens to it, they go, "Oh wow," type of thing. And in your thing, "Love Yourself," you're basically saying that in order for you to get around in this world, you have to first recognize who you are. I mean, the good and the bad, but recognize who you are and love yourself first. And from that will come other goodness. You'll have friends, you'll meet people, you'll be able to have a life. But in today's day and age, kids are not learning that. They really aren't. They're being separated from their parents in public schools. And the public schools are now taking over being parents to the child, but they're not benefiting them. They're not getting the human interaction that kids need, that they crave. They need to look for a father and mother figure in their life. They need someone that turns around, even when they're doing something bad, can still say, yeah, you're doing something wrong. I'm not happy with you, but I still love you.
Yeah, accountability.
You're not going to get that from a stranger in a classroom. And you're not going to get it from some of these woke individuals that turn around and say, well, you're born in the wrong body. That's why you feel bad. No, I'm sorry. God doesn't make mistakes. And Curtis has heard me say this many times. He chose me to be who I am at this time. And what I make of myself will prove my worth in his eyes.
The condition of the heart. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but if I turn around and say, no, I'm not this person, I don't feel right. Hey, listen, I don't like the fact I got a little bit of a belly, but that's part of who I am now. I'll work on that. I'll work on losing that. But I mean, God doesn't make the mistakes, but what you do with yourself and what you do with others goes to prove how good a person you are and that you should be loved and you should love yourself first before anyone else can love you.
And not in an egotistical way. And the song was really just about knowing who you are. And for me, it's knowing who you are in Christ, your authority in Christ and how you walk in that authority. And it's not an oppressive authority. It's just knowing who God says you are. And because the world's always going to try to tell you and streamline you in a way that maybe you weren't prepared for or made for in this world. And so love yourself is really about loving yourself in the way that God sees you. And then you can properly love somebody else. Because if you're broken, which we're all broken to a point, but if you don't have, like you said, the parents at home who were once children, who never healed their past, we tend to pass that down to our children. And then it doesn't matter what age you are, you want to be accepted and loved. And if you can find that in a bar, if you can find that in a community that maybe is twisting reality, you'll find it because it's a human need. So, but if you love yourself first and you have a definite sense of who you are, who God says you are, then you'll stand strong in who he says you and won't worry because, everyone's always trying to speak into our lives and tell us what we need to do, what we have to look like, who we are. And I went through that as a teenager too. And it was upsetting. It was depressing because I was striving for something that I really didn't want, but everybody said I should strive for this. And I was never more miserable in my life. So when a friend of mine kind of reminded you when we were kids, and this is what we decided about ourselves and what we wanted to be, it was so innocent, it was so pure. She goes, you have to get back to that point. And that just really, like, the light bulb went off, and I did, and closed every door that I opened that I shouldn't have opened, and the really good ones opened. And that's where the Born to Diva and the touring with Raul and all these wonderful, and meeting Connie Francis, singing at her birthday party. They just had the celebration of life, which was invite only. They invited me. And everyone who was there was considered loved by Connie. So it was just an honor because I had sung at her first party when she turned 80, which I believe was in 2018. Was that 2019?
Wow.
And so that was right here in Florida. And she called me. I still have her message, and it was so funny. She said, Tommy, this is Connie Francis, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. I want you to sing at my 80th birthday party. And I'm listening to this because I didn't have her number in my phone, so I didn't answer the call. When she called, I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm thinking, first of all, I would never say no to Connie Francis, but she was so humble and so sweet and so kind. And then she had come out to some of the shows that I did with Charles Colello, and that's where she first saw me sing. And then she started coming to all the shows, and I did some recordings with her as well. But so when you follow the path that God has truly given you, there's a peace, there's a joy, there's a healing, and you're not so worried about the rest of the world, which I think happens to so many people, especially so many young people, because they haven't figured it out yet. They haven't figured themselves out yet. And love yourself is definitely about that.
Well, what's important is that kids hear this, because at the age where you're in junior high, high school, you're going through the changes in life.
Of course.
And you also have peer pressure. And everyone's telling you what you should be. You're in the in group or you're not. And unfortunately, the mania that we saw it as kids growing up. First, it was the bulimia, and everyone was being bulimic. And then the girls all had to get pregnant. And you see them go through these fads. But this latest one has become so dangerous. And it's not just something that you just get over. these teachings of the transgenderism, I'm sorry, prior to that, less than 1% of 1% would have any sort of a gender dysphoria. But now, at the level it is, again, they're hitting it with the kids where they're most vulnerable. If you do it as you're an adult, that's your business. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm not going to say anything. But when you do it to a child who cannot go out and vote, who's not allowed to smoke or drink or drive a vehicle, you know that child can't make these life-changing decisions because they're not fully developed mentally or physically.
Correct.
Yet you have them do that. I'm sorry, that's child abuse. But here, let's play your song, Love Yourself. And God bless. Here we go.
So close, the people you want to tear apart. But if you let it go and release your fear, guarantee someone hears. You're not alone, you're not alone, you are not alone. Don't you know it's your choice to be free, baby, yeah. Above the negativity, that's you and me. Let's make a brand new start. You've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself before you love anyone else. Before you love anyone else. Oh yeah. Time to smile and learn what life is all about. Give it a second chance. Riches and fortunes can't be the heart, and the money won't teach you, so dance. Forget what you've been taught and live as you are, finding you're much better off. Open up, receive your worth. You have the key, yes. Don't you know it's your voice that you hear? Oh, baby, yes. It's telling you look deep inside. Give yourself a sense of pride. Open up your heart. You've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself. Oh,
All right. Now, who
Awesome.
does the video for
Awesome.
you?
Well, surprise, surprise. I do all of the filming. All of the filming. There was no one there but me. I mean,
Really?
maybe you could tell, but
Professionally done. Professionally done.
thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I just decide I'm going to do this. I have a vision and I'm going to go for it. I do have a couple of people that want to work with me on one of my next videos. So it'd be really great to have a couple people because there's much more that you can do. But, you know, me, a selfie stick and ideas and editing. I edited all my video as well. And I hope that's inspiring because you don't have to hire a whole team of people anymore, especially with digital being right on your phone. Do I want a number of people to help? It'd be wonderful. And I do have a couple of people probably for my next video. So I'm excited about that.
And who won the snowball fight?
Well, speaking of inspiring,
Me and the camera. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Speaking of inspiring, though, as a vocal artist, what are some of the comments you received from some of your fans that really show that you made a connection with them? I mean, like, there were times when I had people come up to me as a writer and say, wow, I picked up that book and I couldn't put it down, you know? Yeah. At that moment, I knew that I made a connection with them. So what are some of the commentaries you received from your fans?
Very, very heartfelt. I've had some people, there's another song called Another Chance where they said they couldn't stop listening to it because the message was so pertinent to what they had felt and what happened to them that they did not express how they felt to someone that they loved. And this song just really made them cry. I don't know if they're good tears or sad tears, but they said it really hit home for them. And it let them understand to go out and make sure that you connect with the people that you love and let them know, because you don't know if you're going to get another chance to tell someone you love them. Just a nice compliment, something, being kind. It does, you know, it never hurts to be kind. So another chance is like that. Love yourself is just the words in there about knowing who you are and being someone that is so filled up. It's kind of like having a vase, and God is just putting water in you, and you are just flowing over. All the love and all the goodness is just flowing out of you to other people. Because I used to be like a water pitcher, and I'd get filled up and I'd pour myself out on all the people, and then I'd be empty at the end of the day and exhausted. So now what I do is I keep replenishing myself. And that's just part of, you know, just connecting to God and being in the Word and really filling myself up with what, his words and what he's speaking to me. So that way I can, you know, pass that on to other people. But I have had wonderful compliments under my YouTube videos, inspiring. So it's been really, really wonderful to read those. And I did have a woman who was blind who told me, she said, you know, I'm blind, so I can't see you. She says, but your voice was so angelic. It felt like I got this healing inside of me emotionally. And that was really powerful, because seeing video is one thing and hearing, but when you just can hear, you know, I think that's why they do it on The Voice. They turn around, they don't watch the singer, because they want to hear what's going on, if it's really moving them, because visual has a lot to do with moving somebody too.
Yeah. So it's amazing that you were able to connect on that level for that individual. And that's a blessing. That is a blessing. It's a gift that you have. And I'm glad that you share it with others. And also, you're sharing your message, because as you mentioned with Another Chance, always take the time to tell someone that you care about them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so many people that say, oh gosh, I didn't kiss my husband this morning, or I didn't say I love you to my child or my wife, and something happens. Obviously your family knows you love them, but it's really for you yourself to give them the what's the word I'm looking for? Words of affirmation are really powerful, because our words, we're planting seeds, whether they're good or bad, in children and our families. And those words of affirmations are very powerful. So if someone happens to pass on and we haven't really expressed how we feel, I think we're the ones that lose out, because we're feeling like we had all this wonderful time to show them and let them know how we feel. And it could be just someone that you really like and you just are too scared to go up to them and say something, do something nice. So I think that song really hits people and lets them know, no, don't wait, because we don't know what's coming tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow.
No, we're not. I was very blessed and lucky that when my husband passed away, I was at his side the entire time. And I'm going to start crying in a few seconds, but throughout the entire time, he knew I was there. He knew that the love was there. So even though he wasn't fully conscious, but he was aware, he was. And that's why it is important to always say it and say it often. I always get a kick sometimes if I don't know why this happens to me in a grocery store, but if a parent has like a little child, a little boy or girl walking, they always look up and they're always smiling and waving hi. And I've had a couple of times where someone would turn around and say, "You look very pretty today," because I'd be dressed from church, stop at the store on the way home from church. It's, even when you have a thing to say it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. So let's play this song. This is called Another Chance. Here we go.
Thank you.
There's no sound, only frozen images and all emotions spinning round, breath suspended in between the wall that's coming down. But here in this moment, you must trust your heart to lead the way. Love's all you wanted. You're lucky if it comes along. When it's right, keep holding on. You may never get another chance. Hurry, don't. You've rehearsed the words to say 1,000,000 times, but now you won't. Trapped inside this awkward silence, feeling all alone. But here in this moment, you must trust your heart to lead the way. Love's all you wanted. Before the moment slips away, say the things you want to say. You may never get another chance. But here in this moment, you must trust your heart to lead the way. Love's all you wanted. Before the moment slips away, say the things you want to say. You may never get another chance. You're lucky if it comes along. When it's right, keep holding on. You may never get another chance.
Wow. The final message is go tell someone you love them.
Superb.
But it's funny, the pillow that you featured in there, as I was watching it the first time, I kept on trying to figure out how to read it and everything. So I'm staring at the screen, and then you showed it in full, and a memory flooded back on me again with my late husband. I had only known him for a very, very short time, and we had met in a restaurant bar, and when we were leaving, he was walking me back to the car, and it had started to drizzle. It was starting to rain, but it was a light rain. And I was parked at the edge of a parking lot where there was a storm drain, and the street light shone down on the storm drain at that moment. And he just took me in his arms, and we were dancing in the rain on top of the storm drain cover and it was that moment that I realized I loved him and that he actually loved me too.
Oh, wow. Those are
So
the
when I
moments.
saw that pillow, it just, I can remember that day as if it was yesterday. And that was, oh, wow. We were together 30 years, and that was the first, good Lord. Yeah, wow.
What a blessing. What a blessing to have
Long
30
lives
years.
Yanni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was some 35 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. But you were
That was
together
my
for
buddy.
30 years?
Yeah. Yeah. We were married for 28, and we were together for a total of 30 years. Yeah.
Wow. God bless you. Wow. And you'll see.
I don't know
him-
how long I'm going to keep the new one. Husband number 3. That's why I'm introduce him.
Hey, third time's a charm, but it looks like you've been lucky 3 times. That's beautiful.
Well,
Some
not the
people
first
are
one. I
lucky
divorced
well.
him.
Oh, okay. Well, what? That's somewhat lucky because you moved on to someone you really loved. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes-
yeah.
Somebody once said to me, it was Charles Colello, he said, sometimes you just keep making mistakes until one day you get it right. Because everybody has questions about, I actually started writing a book. I haven't finished it, but it's kind of, I think I might entitle it The Idiot's Guide to Finding a Mate. And I don't know if it's that easy, but I've had so many conversations with friends and people, especially a lot of my women friends, who have gone in so many relationships that stayed way too long, that they were miserable in. And we tend to do that to ourselves. So when you have the courage and the strength to move on, God bless you for that, because it's kind of like a frog in water. You can warm it until it's cooked. And that's kind of what happens in our lives. If we don't recognize it, or we don't have a friend to speak into our life, or someone to say, I don't think you're seeing this correctly. And so this book just kind of goes through, what are the red flags? What are the green flags? And do they match? It's really simple. And I like I said, I haven't finished writing it, but it's just a simple book to just kind of look at those red flags and green flags. And do you really have enough in common that this is going to really work? Are you a giver, and are they only a taker? Because you have to have 2 givers. If you're always giving, again, you're constantly pouring out. You're not being replenished. And sometimes marriage is always working things out too. But don't get into a marriage where you're miserable before.
For
So
me,
is
this
it?
time, I'm sorry, Curtis.
So is it
This
that
time-
the female thinks she can change the guy, and that's why she stay longer, or what? Or she hope he change?
I think we attract people because they see something in us that they want, and we see something in them. Some of my friends have been brought up in a home that wasn't very healthy, so they attracted someone who wasn't a healthy mate, and they saw that person could be taken advantage of. And so that's the dynamic for years, and it never changed, because somebody has to say, wait a minute, I cannot continue doing this. But because you maybe grew up living in an abusive family, or a parent that is mentally ill, I don't know what it is. I think we just keep trying to recreate it to heal our past. So we keep recreating it. We keep, and we see that all the time. Someone who's had alcoholic parents, they marry someone alcoholic, or they become an alcoholic. It's a generational thing. So we have to work on ourselves once again. And how much do we love ourselves to do that?
Yeah. Well, to change the subject a little bit, even though you concentrate on love, you also talk about love of country. And in this one, you're turning around and saying, hey, listen, don't follow the rest of the crowd, but know what we stand for as Americans and stand up. It's called Stand Tall. So let's give our audience that one, because our next guest should be on very shortly.
Thank
here
you
we
so
go.
much. Thank you for having me on.
And people can find you TomySellers.com, as well as on YouTube and Facebook and half a dozen other places.
You.
I know that sometimes life's not easy, and at times it seems like you're going nowhere. You can't hold on to the things that are so pleasing. The more you try, the more your cupboard's bare. So don't let it get you down. You can turn your life around if you care. Stand tall. There's a better day that's coming. Be strong. You can make it if you try. Turn nothing into something. Hold on. Keep your head up to the sky. Look around and you'll see the situation. Drugs and guns have overrun our city streets. Now it's time to renew this once great nation. Never give up. You can make the dream complete. It doesn't matter who you are. Don't you let it go too far. You should always. There's a better day that's coming. Be strong. Be strong. You can make it if you try. Turn nothing into something. Hey, keep your head up to the sky. Yes. You've got the power, 'cause God gave the power to you. Got the power. Be strong. You can make it if you try. Keep your head up to the
All right. For people who enjoy Tomei's music, just check out her website, Tomei Sellers, SELLARS.com. She's also up on Facebook, YouTube, half a dozen other places. So check out her website, Tomei, Tomey, Sellers, SELLARS. And we're back, Curtis, and we got ourselves, what a song to end before we bring in our next guest. And that's if he stops jumping in and out of his chair. We'll bring him on the stage very shortly, and hopefully we got him sitting. He's like a jack in the box. Let's bring on our next guest to the show, Brandon Straka. Brandon, last time you were on the show, you had just formed Walk Away. We were only doing audio, but we've all matured.
Look at that. Look how far we've all come.
We've grew up.
That's right. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Brandon?
Hello, sir. How are you?
All right.
You just had on Saturday the Restore NYC rally, talking about other candidates besides Zoran Mandami. That was absolutely wonderful. I saw some clips on it. As a matter of fact, before we even start, I'm going to play this little short clip that you posted before. Hang on a second. Here we go.
Walk away! Walk away! Walk away! We have convinced ourselves that every idea deserves a seat at the table, and we must reclaim the clarity of the founders, and we must reject that, and we must say no. Not every idea belongs in a republic. Marxism, socialism does not belong in a republic, and America needs to stay a republic. So you must reject Mondami this November if you want New York City to endure, and if you want America to endure.
Amazing guy. His name is Eyal Yacobi. Eyal, bring it on up and tell the people what they need to hear.
As we head into the election, the most important thing that I want to start out with is that everyone has to show up to vote. That's the most important thing. Where Zoran, where I'm going to quote that he's a snake oil salesman, is he presents himself as one way, but if you actually look at what he said and his actual policies on his X account, he is not just a socialist. He's a self-described communist, wants to abolish the police, seize private property, take the means of production.
Protesters at college campuses, what are you doing? And I look at them with shame. And I say, New York is the greatest city in the world. It is the capital of the world.
Ben? Holy crap. Look, it's not a protest in New York unless Crackhead Barney shows up. Let's go.
Right, she's everywhere.
And now she's gone.
At least she's wearing clothes this time.
It looks like that was one heck of a day. I mean, it was just not people supporting you, but you had also the counter protesters coming in that you had to deal with. And thankfully, no major instances occurred that day.
Right. No, I mean, it was really peaceful for the most part. After we did the rally, we actually did. So the rally was like from 3 to 5. From 1 to 3. And then from 3 to 5, we actually did like a table, like a debate table event, so sort of like what we do on college campuses. So we actually encourage New Yorkers to approach the mic in sort of like an open mic scenario and ask us questions and debate. And there were a good number of people who approached the microphone who did not agree with our point of view, and who many of whom said that they at this point would support Zoran Mamdani for mayor if the election were on that day. So that was an opportunity to get to engage, with New Yorkers, kind of where they are in the moment. And some of those moments, unfortunately, became heated with our audience. I'm used to dealing with those situations. I actually like and encourage the opportunity to be able to have a productive dialogue with people who are on the opposite side of the spectrum as I am. But a good number of people in our audience, I think, were very upset, but that's kind of the point of the whole thing, is to encourage conversation with people on the other side and try to get them to change their minds.
And that is exactly what I always expose. As you know, I think when we last talked, I still run a tea party, and this is now 16 years in. And I am constantly having conversations with people who all of a sudden turn around and say, well, wait a minute, you're kind of like making sense. And that's all we're trying to do, is have an exchange of idea and open that door. I remember a friend of mine being an avowed liberal, looking up at the TV and getting mad at something. And I looked at him and I says, that's something we both agree on. We may have more areas in which we agree on than we know, but that's not going to happen unless we have the conversation, which is what you're doing. And that's what Walk Away is all about. Have the conversation and maybe find out that maybe those that are on the right aren't all that crazy after all.
Well, right. And, especially in a place like New York City, which is where I've decided to put the the lion's share of my focus, my energy between now and November is really working on this election and trying to make sure that Zoran Mamdani does not become the next mayor of New York. It's going to require having a lot of conversations and a lot of outreach and a lot of ongoing consistent communication with people on the other side. And it's certainly going to require, I think, us presenting our side of the argument in a way that's going to be compelling and inspiring to people to make them want to change their minds. I don't think we're going to do that if we just come out, aggressively name calling and angry and, not providing something that's productive.
Well, you've been doing this for quite a long time, but I'm going to take you back to January 6th, 2021, and what happened to you. And I want the audience to hear from your mouth what occurred and how you were forced into a situation that was impossible, absolutely impossible, which they were trying to actually stifle your voice, take away what you do today, which is so powerful and important. You would not be sitting here today talking to me unless you were able to see Donald Trump give you that pardon for anything that happened on January 6th.
Yeah, well, so on January 6th, I was outside of the Capitol. I was a scheduled speaker for a permitted event. And when I was approaching the Capitol to do my speaking engagement, I started getting text messages telling me that there was some sort of disruption. People were going inside the building. And so I approached the Capitol from the east side shooting a video. And when I got near the building, the doors were open. And so I walked up to the top of the stairs and I shot a video for 8 minutes of people, the open doors and a crowd of people. Some people were walking in the building. The majority of people were just shooting video like I was. And after about 8 minutes, a man came out of the building and said that they cleared Congress, that everybody had left the building and to move out. So I immediately turned around and I left and I uploaded my video to Twitter. So I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I didn't participate in a riot, but I also didn't even witness a riot. Nobody was rioting on the side of the building that I was on. Any struggles with police officers and window breaking and things like that had happened previously on the other side of the building. So, yeah, I uploaded my video to Twitter and I just said, this is what I saw today at the Capitol. And 2.5 weeks later, the FBI raided my house and took me to jail and charged me with several felony charges. And it opened up what became a 4-year-long nightmare at that point. And given the options that were available to me, which were to either go to trial in Washington, D.C. on, at the time, 2 felony charges and a misdemeanor, and the government threatened to add a 3rd felony charge, which was the 1512 obstruction of an official proceeding felony that they gave to pretty much every J6er who went to trial. It was almost like a trial penalty to get that charge. And what's interesting is that everyone who got that charge was found guilty of it. And then the Supreme Court later overturned it, saying it was unconstitutionally applied to the J6ers. But the damage was already done because people had already served 3-4 years in prison on that charge by the time that it was deemed to be unconstitutional. So I knew what was going on. So given the options before me, I pled guilty to a misdemeanor, which I didn't commit. And then that gave the government, by virtue of me pleading guilty, the government then gets to write your confession on your behalf. It's called a statement of offense. And so they can let their imaginations run wild and say whatever they want to say, and you have to sign it. And then if you don't sign it, you go to trial and you'll be found guilty on all the same things anyway. So it's the difference between you voluntarily signing it or going to trial and being found guilty of it. And then you're going to go to prison for 3 or 4 or 5 years. But I signed their stupid piece of paper with all of their lies, and then I was sentenced to 3 months of house arrest and then 4 years of federal supervision, which ended when President Trump pardoned me earlier this year.
Brandon, outside of this confession, what proof did they have, since you were on the opposite side of the building?
Well, they never accused me of going in the building, and they also never accused me of committing any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. So what they did in my case They charged me with a felony charge of knowingly occupying restricted grounds. So in other words, trespassing on the Capitol grounds. Now, what was interesting about that is every person who went inside the building got a misdemeanor charge of occupying a restricted building. I didn't go in the building, but I got a felony for being on the grounds. They also threatened to add the so it was knowingly occupying restricted grounds. God, it's been a while since I went over these. Impeding law enforcement. That was another felony that they gave me. And I said to my attorney, I was like, I don't understand. There were no police officers on the east side of the building. There were literally zero. And my attorney told me, well, in your video, there's a moment where one officer makes his way through the crowd and he's carrying his shield above his head. And as he's making his way through the crowd, somebody grabs his shield out of his hand. And you can hear several people in the crowd when that happens shouting, take it, take the shield. He said the FBI is saying that you were the person shouting to take the shield. So they gave you a felony charge of impeding law enforcement for contributing to this shield being taken. Now, I didn't even see the incident happen. I actually had to watch my own video to see the moment that they were talking about because I didn't see it in real life. And then they gave me a misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct with an intent to disrupt a hearing before Congress. So what they did was, in my case, they said that I encouraged the crowd to take a shield from an officer. And they said that I stood outside the building shouting, go, 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 to encourage the crowd to go in the building. And neither of those things happened. But when I pled guilty to the misdemeanor, they made me say that they did. So part of my statement of offense said that I encouraged the crowd to take a shield and that I encouraged the crowd to go in the building, which never happened.
We've had some of the other J6ers on, and one of them was the individual involved in the 1512 Supreme Court ruling, who was behind bars for well over 4 years. And what I see, and I'm a retired police officer, when I see something like this happen, and people that are honestly innocent being railroaded, which is exactly what happened, and threatened, I don't understand that. I really don't, because we swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws of whatever jurisdiction we're in. And when I see someone violate that oath, they should be the ones behind bars, not you.
I agree. I totally agree. So in all of these cases, in one way or another, they basically overcharged people to the point of, and also we'll take it a step back. Before they had an opportunity to overcharge everybody, they started the vast majority of people's cases with a violent FBI raid. So even when they, like in my case, they knew when they came to my house that I had not entered the building. They knew that I hadn't engaged in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. I mean, they said that from the outset. But they still sent a squad of FBI agents in tactical gear to raid my apartment, get me out of bed at dawn, and put me in handcuffs and take me to jail. So they traumatized everybody at the very beginning, and also sent a very loud and clear message. This is the seriousness with which the government is taking your actions on January 6th. But so for the majority of us were taken to jail and then either told by a judge that we had to stay in jail or that we would be released from jail pending trial. In my case, I was released pending trial because I didn't do anything. But the message was sent loud and clear that this is how this is being handled. This is what this is. And also at the same time that all of this was going on, the media was reporting around the clock, calling it a deadly insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the government, acts of domestic terrorism. So to me, it was never a matter of how do I win and how do I lose? It was just a matter of how do I lose the least and how do I try to come out of this situation with as much of my life as intact as possible. I still think I made the right decision with the options I had in front of me, but it wasn't a good outcome and it wasn't a good decision. And I mean, it turned my entire life upside down.
Yeah, and that trauma is something you do not get over. You learn to live with it, but you do not forget or you get over it. So,
Right.
but I'm glad to see that you're back in the saddle, you're back in the fight, you're back in the game, and we're looking at. We're on the outside looking in to see what's going on in the politics of New York City, and it scares us. It scares the rest of the nation. It truly does, because New York City is the largest city in the world, and it has a possibility of being overrun by communism. And you, in the rally, I saw a clip where you said, we're not going to call it domestic socialism because it's a false flag. It makes it sound touchy-feely good by saying, I'm sorry, democratic, not domestic, democratic socialism. I apologize. Brain fart. At my age, we get a lot of them.
No worries.
But you don't call them a democratic socialist. There's no such thing. You're either a socialist or you're not.
Right. And so it's just, but the Democrats have always been excellent at marketing and packaging and messaging and idea. And so calling it democratic socialism is a way of trying to kind of distance themselves to a certain degree and create a line of separation between full-blown socialism, which has always failed everywhere it's ever been attempted anywhere in the world with catastrophic results. And so what they're trying to do is say there's something, different and kind of Americanized about this socialism, because, and then what they also try to do is deceive people by saying, well, look at all these social safety nets and all these government programs that we've had for years that have been helpful and successful to a certain degree. And basically democratic socialism is an expansion on things like Medicaid or, government subsidized subways and things like that. And it's like, well, no, or welfare or SNAP programs for groceries. And the thing is, all of those programs were implemented at one time or another because they were supposed to be temporary assistance programs for Americans who really needed help in a time of need temporarily so that they could continue to participate in a capitalist system. They weren't designed to become dependencies that people would live on for the rest of their lives and then become generational. So we've got grandma on welfare and we've got mom on welfare and I'm going to be on welfare and then my kids are going to be on welfare. And that's not what these things were supposed to be for. And they also weren't supposed to become expanded to the point where the government essentially is in control of every aspect of your life and providing your funding for your housing, your electricity, your groceries, your transportation, your travel, and that the government becomes essentially your parent. And so that's where kind of the deception of all of this marketing and messaging, I think, comes in, and why it's so important, I think, to get in and strip these programs down to the barest possible essentials so that people don't become dependent on them and people don't end up using them who don't need them, and that we don't allow the government to become bigger and use them as examples of success stories of, the government basically becoming in complete control of people's lives.
Everyone has someone in their family from the other side of the fence, and it's something that we all are dealing with. But when you see rapid and rather vampant abuse of these programs, as you say, Medicaid, Social Security, disability, things like that, it makes your blood boil, because here we are, we worked honestly all our lives, and we expect to reap the fruit of our labors, and yet we see someone sitting back on the couch, living in better conditions, having a better TV and car than you do, but they live off the government because they abuse the programs. But this is what Doge was supposed to, route out. But this is what Mandami wants to do again, wants to make everyone be dependent upon the government, the altar of the government, not at the altar of God. And you should be self-sufficient, which is what our founding fathers intended for us to be, individuals, self-sufficient, not wards of the government. But this is what Mandami is offering them. And it sounds so wonderful. We're going to have government-run stores so we can get food real cheap. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way, because by the time the elites get out cleaning out the stores, there's going to be nothing left for you but bread lines. You're not
lines.
going to have the formulas for your babies. You're not going to be able to get the shoes or the Nikes that you want. The elite will have them. They'll have the Lamborghinis and everything else, the Maseratis, and you're going to be riding public transportation if you can get public transportation, because now the mobs and the homeless will take them over. I mean, it's a really bad situation that New York will end up in if this man is elected.
Well, it's also very unfair to have the government come in and create that kind of it undercuts competition, for mom and pop shops and owners and things. So people who are trying to earn their living owning a grocery store or a market or something like that, when the government comes in and says, well, we're going to offer lower prices on the same goods and for whatever period of time, and then essentially drive those mom and pop shops out of business. But we know, I mean, if you look around, and I said this at the rally too, I mean, when is the last time anybody ever woke up and said, oh, thank goodness the government got involved in this situation. They really solved that problem for all of us. There's no examples. It never happens. Everything that the government touches ends up mismanaged and in one way or another destroyed. And so it is not if, but when it becomes about food shortages, inadequate supplies, poorly managed stores, corruption, and then ultimately empty shelves and food line and bread lines and all these things that you're describing. And meanwhile, they will have driven out any sort of reasonable competition, which is not the role of the government. I mean, we have laws and policies that are designed to prevent that, and that's not the road that we want to be going down. There was something else you just said a moment ago too, which I may not remember at this moment, but it was a good point.
Public transportation?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty to say about that too. It wasn't that, but there is plenty to say about that. I mean, if you look at the New York City subway, as somebody who's lived in New York for over 20 years, I can tell you the subway, which is government subsidized, but largely paid for by riders. Yeah. It's inefficient. It's poorly run. It's not on time. It's unreliable. It's overrun with homelessness, and crime has spiked in the subways. And that's with a system that, we actually have some rider income coming into, but he wants to put the government in control of buses and free buses. And it's like, say goodbye to getting anywhere on time or having a safe mode of transportation that's not completely overrun by criminals and homeless people and everything else. It's these policies are terrible, and they're really going to destroy our city if we don't stop them.
Brandon, I think we had a taste of socialism a few years back. It was called COVID. The government told you what you had to do as far as taking a shot that you may not want to take. Even though when it comes to women's right, it's your body, nobody can tell you what to do with it. But during COVID, they had everything to do with, telling you what to do with your body. They told you the social distance. They told you this, that, and the other. And matter of fact, I would go into grocery stores and the shelves were half empty. And mothers have problems finding baby formula. Never happened in the United States before. So I think that was one of the things that changed the minds of and opened the minds of Americans, because they didn't like that. Socialist light or whatever you want to call it. We did not like it.
Well, right. That's exactly right. And I think we got a really good glimpse too into what happens when the government is allowed to flex its muscles and become authoritarian and tell people they are and are not allowed to leave their houses and go outside and go to work, and what they're allowed to do and what stores you're allowed to go to and what stores you're not allowed to go to. I think maybe this is the point I was going to make earlier too. I'm somebody, after what I endured with January 6th, like I know what it feels like to be somebody who the government considers to be an unworthy or dangerous person, and the actions that they feel justified in taking against people that they consider to be subversives or enemies to the regime. after January 6th, the government put out directives even to big tech companies saying that I shouldn't be allowed to have bank accounts or social media or get onto an airplane without being harassed and going through hours of screening. And so, I mean, I think people have a hard time believing that something like that could happen in America, but it's already happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
And if you put the government in full charge of your electricity, your rent, your transportation, your groceries, your everything, if the government decides that you're not worthy of having electricity or being able to use the internet or being able to, what groceries you should be allowed to have and not have, it's not, believe me, it's not something we want.
They could shut you down once they label you a deplorable.
That's right.
Well, we're down to our last few minutes. I'm just looking at the clock. We got 3 minutes left. But Brandon, it has been fantastic having you. People can find you, Straka.com, if I can get my teeth in straight. You're the Walk Away campaign, and right. You've brought a lot of people into our fold, and thank you, and God bless you for all the hard work you do. We got to have you back on for some more.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I would highly encourage anyone watching to go to walkawaycampaign.com. Keep an eye on what we're going to be doing between now and November. We're going to be really knee deep in the fight to save New York City. So if anybody wants to volunteer or come to our rallies and events that we have coming up, or if you're able to donate to our cause, please go to walkawaycampaign.com and sign up for our email list and our texting list so we can keep in touch with you as these things unfold. Please.
All right.
All right. God bless. Thank you very much, Brandon.
Thank you.
You have a blessed day. All right.
You too. Thank you.
Keep up the fight.
Yes, keep up the fight. That's it. That's all we got, folks. We're down to our last minute or so. Just to on the alert that Curtis and I will not be live on August 14th. We will put something together for you to enjoy. I'm going to be having a procedure done on my back. You've got an appointment too, Curtis. So we'll be back next week with another great and wonderful show. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here, and hope that you follow us over on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and X. A matter of fact, again, thank you everyone that is out there listening to us and watching us, especially on X. Our last show had over 119,000 views. I want to thank everyone that hit on the show and enjoyed it, and hope you enjoyed today's show too. And I hope you had a great time, because we certainly did.
All right.
Well, with that, I will say good night and God bless. We're going to end just 1 minute early, but until then, have a blessed day.
Enjoy the weekend.
All right. I'm going to end this without playing that. And here we go.